It's season 4, episode 2 of the 360 show. Welcome. It's great to have you all here. Have you been watching the Betway SA20? Because I certainly have, and I am exceptionally excited about what I've seen. The standard of cricket has been right up there. Great catches, great run scoring, and great wickets. Great games at the end of the day. It's all very exciting, so keep an eye out for that on Geo Cinema if you're over there in the northern part of the world. Otherwise, get to the grounds if you're in South Africa. It's been absolutely fantastic. We're also going to be talking about Virat Kohli, my good friend. Where should he bat in T20 cricket for India? No one seems to know. There's lots of opinions out there, and I want to hear your opinion too. And then the Under 19 World Cup is over here in South Africa for the third time. It's exciting times, and we all know it's the platform for the youngsters to ultimately go and achieve greatness. Welcome to this week's 360 show. Let's hear it.
We're watching a very high-class player. This is when you know AB de Villiers is at his best.
Here we go. Virat Kohli, the hot topic. Where should he bat for India in T20 cricket? I've got the stats pulled up for you guys here. His numbers while opening in T20 internationals is quite astounding. 9 innings, 400 runs, an average of 57, strike rate 161. Those numbers are good. It's difficult to argue with that one. Then I have a nice quote from Virat, and here's his opinion or his thoughts of what he thinks should be happening when he plays for India in T20 cricket. He says, "We do have a solid middle order now. It's about the 2 best players getting maximum number of balls in T20 cricket. I'd like to partner with Rohit at the top, and the other guys feel confident when one of us is in. I'd like that to continue," says Virat. I have a different opinion. Not growing up, most part of my international career, Virat batting at 3 to me was the biggest threat for us when we played against India. I've always felt like he was the glue of the team in the middle order. Number 3 is not quite middle order, it is top order, but he's so good that he often combined with a middle order, even down to the tail enders. And it's just impossible to play against that. So now, with the new ball right up front, facing the first few deliveries there, I just think the chances of getting a good delivery up front is so much better. And I'm worried about that position, even though the numbers don't look bad. I have some other stats for you throughout his career, and it's quite interesting, this one. When Virat faces the very first ball as an opener, his average is 23, strike rate 138. When he doesn't face the first ball and is at the non-striker's end, also opening the batting, he averages 140 with a strike rate of 173. Very interesting, but only 4 games played there and 5 facing the first ball. So you can't really look into those stats too much. What I do like is that number 3 position. 79 games played there, average of 55, strike rate 135. Very solid, match winner. It keeps everyone together, and he allows some of the youngsters, some of the power hitters, to have freedom at the back end of the innings, and that's exactly what you want. And then quickly, just a quote from Rahul Dravid. He says, "Nothing is closed." Kohli opening with Rohit, he's talking about. "We have no doubt that the kind of ability and skill sets players like Rohit and Kohli possess, they will be able to find answers against different kinds of bowling." That's what Rahul Dravid said. It's a difficult one for India. I've told you guys what my thoughts are. Virat at number 3. Even for Bangalore, when we played at RCB for so many years together, I always tried to convince him not to open the batting. He loves it. I think that's his preference. He's played cricket for long enough. Maybe he should have the final say. And if he wants to open in the batting, if I was the coach, I would say, okay, you know what you're doing. Go open the batting. You're our best player. Go win us that World Cup. I would still like to see him at 3, so I hope something happens. So that is the big question. Where should Virat Kohli bat in T20 cricket for India? 1, 2, or 3? And I'm going to run a poll on X just to get you guys involved. I want to see what you guys have to say. So please keep an eye out for that post and go and vote, because I want to know what you have to think. There's one thing that stands out and one thing that comes to mind that I need to mention. You guys know I want Virat to bat at 3. But I must admit, in the last game that he played, the last couple of games actually, he showed intent from the start. So if Virat shows intent, he tends to get into really good positions. He plays the ball nice and late, but I like Virat to show intent. And I think if he can play that way, I might change my mind and say that it's okay for him to open the batting. But for now, I'm still leaning towards number 3. I want to hear your thoughts, so please go and vote on X. Moving on then, there's the Under-19 World Cup that's coming to South Africa for the third time. This event will welcome a new format for this edition where the 3 teams progressing from each of the 4 groups will enter a new Super 6 stage starting on the 30th of January. 2 groups of 6 teams will clash to determine the semi-finalists and the subsequent finalists. It will be the third time that South Africa is hosting the Under-19 World Cup. Also in 1998 in 2020, and now it's over here again. There you have the schedule as well. It's going to be very exciting, and I did mention it in the intro. This is the platform for the youngsters to show the world what they're capable of. There will be a lot of scouters around there, a lot of IPL scouters, that's for sure, picking up some of the world's best under-19 players and grooming them to become the greats of the world. So be sure to keep an eye out for these games. There's also just a great history of this tournament. I think if you throw that list on the right, players of the tournament, look at that. It's just incredible. With Yuvraj Singh there, Shiki Dhawan, Tim Southee, Aiden Markram, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Devil Brevis, the list goes on. All names that you see in the cricketing world these days. Well, not so much for Yuvraj Singh anymore. But I have to mention as well, or add to that I never played in the Under-19 World Cup. So it's not the end of the world if you don't play in an Under-19 World Cup. I just didn't make it. I was close, I must say, in my final year of school. It was between me and another wicket-keeping batsman, at least. And he got the nod, and I unfortunately didn't. But that's how it goes. I didn't give up. I put my head up high, and I worked even harder. And finally, I broke that door down and got into international cricket and also IPL, and just had a very enjoyable career. That's the Under-19 World Cup. It's very exciting. Keep an eye out for it and support the youngsters. Heinrich Klaasen, he's just been in scintillating form. 85 or 35 against my Cape Town in the Betway SA20 tournament, and also that 50 against the Joburg Super Kings the other night. He's just been in great form, and you guys know I've been raving about him and the way that he plays. His incredibly sound technique, but also scoring 360 all around the park. So really difficult to keep in a box. He's wild, this guy, and he's scoring a lot of runs and playing the best cricket of his life. And for you over there in the northern parts of the world, please go and support this tournament. It really is fantastic. I was at a live game the other day, not as a commentator, not working. I was in a box, just enjoying the game at Centurion Park. And it just reminded me of how enjoyable and how much fun it is to watch T20 cricket when the stadium is full and there's a lot of activity around. Then Nikhil Uttamchandani, also commentator in the Betway SA20, posted something on X here saying the crowd at Supersport Park Centurion was something I've never witnessed before. Now, that is a big shout from someone who has been doing streaming since he was 12 years old. He's a very famous YouTuber and commentator, whatever you want to call him. I'm not sure what his role description is, but for him to say that, and you see there 22,000 people, that's a jam-packed stadium at Centurion. I know you guys over in India are used to 60, 70,000 people at a stadium. We don't have big stadiums like that over in South Africa, but I promise you, if you watch a game live here, it will feel like there's 80,000 people there. It was a very enjoyable game, as I just mentioned now. And we've seen some incredible cricket as well. We see some of the highlights here from Romario Shepherd. Let's have a quick look of this incredible catch for the Joburg Super Kings against Durban's Super Giants. JSK didn't end up winning the game, and I will talk about some of their players in a minute, but just let's have a look at this catch quickly.
Well, hello. Oh, wow. Plucks it out of the air. Romario.
Absolute beauty. And that was not the only one. There's been some other incredible fielding displays. This one, not a successful catch, but certainly saving 6 runs and ultimately helping his team play a really good game of cricket. This was Tom Abel, a very talented young man from England. I followed his career because I really do think he's a fantastic player. I hope he gets a chance in the IPL eventually down the line, because I do think he's got the potential to do so. But this is just one of the little things that he's capable of. Have a look at this.
Bang! And 6 more, is it? Not quite.
All the world as though it was heading for another 6. Tom Abel just did not take his eye off it for 1 second. Smuts was tracking it down. He knew it was safe. But watch this. If he's pulled this off, this is stunning.
Oh my goodness.
And he has, you know. Wow.
That is just simply incredible, isn't it? I wish there was another fielder there so I could go down as a catch so that we could see the highlight reels all the time, because that's just what the broadcasters do. They show you the wickets and the sixes, but they don't show you a drop catch. But that is surely not it can't count as a drop catch. Just absolutely incredible. If you want to be hypercritical, you could have maybe thrown it a little bit harder back and hoped that it went to some fielder who followed him. But that's just wishful thinking, I reckon. Lots of credit for this incredible piece of fielding from Tom Abel. Just a very classy act. And I mean, this is something we don't see very often. It's happened in the last few years. I remember when I was playing for South Africa about 5-6 years ago. That's where it started. Guys started relaying balls, and I think it started as a fielding drill. Actually, you pick it up in the boundary, you throw it halfway to another fielder who throws it to the wicket keeper. And then it started with catches as well, throwing it back. And now it's being used to actually save runs. But also, if there's a follow-up fielder smart enough to be close to his partner, you can always throw to him, and it's a successful catch. So keep an eye out for more incredible fielding displays like this in the Betway SA20. There's been a bit of criticism with JSK. Look, they're not off to a really good start. They looked a little bit all over the place. I have seen teams start slowly in tournaments before and end up going all the way. Look at Australia in the Cricket World Cup. The Sunrisers Eastern Cape, who won the SA20 last year, lost their first two games as well. So JSK didn't lose their first game, but it was a rained-off game. And from there on, it's just gone downhill for them. And there's a tweet here from the MSD and having a full go at Faf du Plessis. I know he's been getting some criticism. He's been out of form the last while. Last 10 innings, not really playing well for CSK. And also, I think the last IPL 2023 average 14 at a strike rate of 110. Look, this guy can play. He will be back. So to all of you criticizing him, stay patient. Let me rather say to all the fans, stay patient. Don't criticize one of your players if you know he's a world-class player. Class is permanent and form is temporary, they say. So let's see how Faf comes back from this. I know him very well. He's a fighter, and I'm pretty sure you'll see him scoring a lot of runs in the rest of this Betway SA20 tournament. There's a tweet from Ben Jones. SA20 might be the most fun league. Varied venues, not too many teams, packed houses, outstanding and mixed domestic talent blended with overseas stars. It is a perfect example of how to make this model work, and I fully agree with that. There's another thing to add there. This tournament is only 1 month long, 30 days. Started the 10th of Jan, it ends on the 10th of Feb, and I quite like that. It's fresh, it's quick. There's a game every day. When you get back home, you know there's a game on. I'm going to put my television screen on right now when I walk away from this laptop, and I know there's going to be a game on there. That's what you love. You don't need breaks like in the Cricket World Cup. Too many breaks, too long, and I think it was just boring. I hope they do something about that. But that's enough of that. The SA20 is fantastic. It's off to a flyer, so keep an eye out on that. Let's move on to AB Reacts then. Ian Chappell having a full rant about Test cricket and how slow it is. He's pushing hard for 5-day cricket to become 4-dayers, which I won't mind. I don't think it's a bad idea. But the rest of his points, I think, is pretty over the top. There's something about Test cricket that I really enjoy. And by the way, if you want to go read this article from Ian Chappell, it is on ESPN Quick Info. There is a link for you guys. So click on that and go over read. He just complains about pretty much everything. I personally don't think Test cricket is in a bad place at the moment. I wouldn't mind seeing 4-dayers instead of 5, it's not a bad idea. But other than that, I really enjoy the flow of Test cricket. It's almost like life. It's not all in fifth gear. You've got time to go make a coffee. You come back. The entertainment is on the screen. There's some boring sessions. Then it picks up pace and it gains momentum. And then there's that one incredible catch that turns the momentum around. There's that amazing spell from a Flintoff or a McGrath back in the day. That's what I remember. And in 1 hour, this whole Test match just turns on its head. And that's what I love about the game. I like it when it's a little bit slow sometimes. The batters have a little strategy session in the middle. I see Chappell was complaining about that as well. it's nice to meet your friend in the middle and to say, listen, I just faced the fastest over of my life. I'm a little bit scared. And your partner will say, don't worry, you've got this, stay in this, keep fighting. And you see all of this watching. When I watch a test match, I analyze every little detail. I'm sure you guys that follow me on X would have picked up on that, because I do go ballistic when I see things happen. I absolutely love it, and I'm so passionate about the game. So I wouldn't want to see too much change. I think baseball and the attacking nature of Test cricket in the last 2-3 years has changed it all completely. That is more than enough for me. So yes, let's talk about maybe 4 days instead of 5. Not a bad idea. And what I do like that he mentions here is about the ground and the pitches. So I would like to see neutral venues, not neutral venues, but neutral wickets, where the toss doesn't really play a big role. I think there's some fantastic test pitches out there around the world. And I think there's many in South Africa where there's a battle between bat and ball all the time. And at the end of the test match, it starts turning. You don't want wickets where it turns from day one. You don't want wickets where it seams and swings for 5 days long. But at the end of the day, I think that's up to the ICC to make sure that the tosses don't play a huge role. And the way to do that is to make sure you prepare really good cricket wickets. No outside influences. So there's one other point where Ian Chappell is right and that I agree with. Moving on then quickly to Shreyas Iyer. Leaving the ball would bore me, he says. Big statement from the young man. I absolutely love watching this guy play. And he's geared to play in those England test matches with a positive mindset. His very own quote says, I'm going to play attacking cricket irrespective of the situation. When they bowl negative, when they bowl safe and defensive at the start, what you can do, you want to score runs and you need to take your team through to a certain point. That's the mindset. So I love watching Shreyas bat. I don't think there's a lot correct in the statement of you're just going to play positive no matter what situation you're confronted with. That's not how Test cricket works. But he'll figure it out himself if he wants to go in with that mindset. I think mentally you need to think in a positive manner. I'm going to come out here today. I'm going to play the match-winning innings. But Test cricket just don't allow you to bat positively for a whole day. That's the beauty about the game. You need to be able to adapt to certain situations, conditions. I think sometimes you need to earn the right to play more attacking. And that's what Shreyas will certainly find out as he gets a bit more experience in Test cricket. I love the fact that he says he wants to be positive. I felt that I had to earn the right. That's what it comes down to actually really take down bowling attacks. And then they didn't know where to go. But I always felt like I needed to read the situation. What does the team need right now from me? Do they need me just to play attacking shots and to up the run rate to 5 or 6? Or do they actually need me to be here for an hour or two and to make sure we start a partnership before we can start dominating? Yeah, so the fact of the matter is every situation will be different. And you can't just go in with donkey vision, if you want to call it that, or one-dimensional thinking. You need to be able to adapt and to be flexible to different scenarios. Shreyas will figure that out. I am a big fan. I'm not having a go at him. His record is simply outstanding. His strike rate is 100 in ODIs and 136 in T20s. And then striking it at 78 in the longer version. Only 65 in test matches, but altogether 78 strike rate for this man. So he does play attacking brand of cricket, and I absolutely love it. But there will be an hour or two from time to time where he's going to have to knuckle it down for the team. But let's see how he goes. All the very best to him. Now for the 360 quiz. I showed you a person in Bangladesh kit. Who was it? That was my question last week. The answer was Russell Domingo. And the winner was Aravind Ghosh Suri. Congratulations to you. I hope you guys paid attention because I have a similar kind of setup this time around. In this week's 360 quiz, apart from Gill and Jaiswal, you saw a picture in this episode of one other Indian cricketer to be the player of the series at an under-19 World Cup. Who was it? I'm not going to give you any tips. Go through the episode, and I hope you guys get it right. All the very best. Thank you very much for joining me on the 360 show. I had a lot of fun, and I will see you on 360 Live this coming Saturday. Have a fantastic day.